I just want to talk about a few minutes about the concept of copyright. Now, copyright is where somebody owns a particular idea or a thing that they have created. That's fairly cool. If you write a song that everybody likes, then you should kind of be paid for that. Fair enough. The problem is now that things are being copyrighted that shouldn't really be copyrighted. Things like genetic sequences, DNA, are all being copyrighted. There are, thousands of genes that are now copyright. So technically, anybody that owns the copyright to a particular gene has the right to do whatever they want with that gene and claim ownership of that gene if they so get hold of it. So there is a problem with massively extended copyright. For instance, Walt Disney, the Mickey Mouse logo is now exceeding its 75-year copyright. 75 years is too damn long. Walt Disney is dead. The guy that first drew Mickey Mouse is dead. He can no longer benefit from the thing that he created. But this mega corporation is slavishly clinging to the idea of copyright. Michael Jackson, until recently, owned the copyright on a load of Beatles songs, which were written in the 60s. So we're talking over 40 years of copyright. Now, Happy Birthday as a song cannot be sung in restaurants without paying a copyright fee. What happens if this continues to get out of hand? Because what happens with the law in most countries, especially in Western countries, is there is this thing called precedent. So the moment you set up one ruling to say the copyright can be kept for this amount of time, then every other corporation on the planet can cite that law case. So what happens if they find a cure for something and somebody's wandering around with that cure that's just pumping in their bodies like an enzyme that they produce that can cure cancer, that can be the reason they never get a cold? What if a company copyrights that? Yeah, think about it. Do they have the right then to come and get that from you? Do they have the right to take that genetic sampling and claim they own it because they've taken it to someone in the process of a hospital treatment or a blood donation or something like that, where you give these cells to a corporation or an academic organisation? Do they then own that? Could they then set it up so that they own those cells? Therefore, do they own that gene? Therefore, that gene is in your body. They can take it whenever they want. What happens then? And that produces all sorts of problems like slavery. What if someone clones a version of you or produces a creature that is sentient and they copyright it? Do they own every single creature of that particular type, of that copyright? That would be slavery, and ergo, that is evil. No two ways about it, it's fucking evil. What happens if a company gets hold of the copyright for a particular type of music? A particular type of folk music that nobody much cares about, and they buy the copyright to that folk music, and anybody that plays that music is therefore at risk of being sued for infringement of copyright. What happens if somebody eventually gets a hold of, say, music produced with a trumpet? Do they own all the copyright? Do they own all the music that you make? And the corporation doesn't care. I've said before, corporations aren't people. Corporation doesn't give a shit, and people can act in the interest of the corporation and claim they were only following the orders. The oft-quoted Nuremberg defense, I was only following orders. So they can get away with it. These people can do these evil fucking things and go home and sleep, like babies at night. What happens then? What happens if we let this copyright thing go out of control? So I would use my window on the world, a few people out there are listening, to say, think about it. Think about putting restrictions or voting towards restrictions on copyright. Because fair enough, if you've written a song and you want to make some money off it, that's your lookout. You've written the song, you've made the music, go for it. But there needs to be a limit on that, because you can't just write a song and then not work for the rest of your life. That's not really feasible, and the implications of that far, far down the road are that you tend to enslave people eventually, or you tend to get people sued. Ordinary people in the street being sued for $500,000 by the RIAA. Now, the only people really doing a great deal about that is sadly not us. We're very small fish. But people like the Electronic Frontier Foundation and the Pirate Party, people like that are trying to do something about it. So if you could do one thing, go and register on the Pirate Party website of your country. Go and look at, go and exchange views with those people. See if you can then shape how that party moves forward. Get involved. Because if you don't get involved, those corporations out there, they don't care. They don't care whether it's a good thing for the future of humanity, because they're not acting in their own interest, they're acting on the behalf of corporations. And small people will get sued for more money than they can make in their life, which is essentially slavery. If you get sued for $500,000 and you don't earn more than $20,000 a year, that company gets a chunk of your paycheck for the rest of your life. And if they continue doing this, your children might be paying. off that debt with interest forever, and that would be indentured slavery. So you've got to make a decision here and now to do something about it, which is what we're trying to do, but all we can really do is get as involved as we can with the people that are organising it. Bear in mind the Pirate Party actually has an EU Parliament seat. There's a politician that is working for the Pirate Party. So we need a few more of them. We need a few more people that are open to it. Because once you get corporations involved, like governments, they really just rumble on until somebody says, no, this is stupid. And more people need to stand up and say, this is stupid.